Okay, so you saw the news drop, right?
Yeah.
The NBA announced the finalists for all the big awards.
Yeah, right during the first round of the playoffs. And while some were pretty expected.
Right, like the MVP candidates.
Exactly. But one category really seemed to get people talking online. The reaction was, well, pretty strong.
Intense is maybe the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really seemed to spark something, didn't it?
It did. And it's interesting. It wasn't just general chatter. It was very focused on one specific player not being on the list. Way more heated than usual for these things.
Okay, so that's what we're diving into today. This whole buzz around Austin Reaves missing out on the most improved player finalist list.
Hmm.
We've got an article here from Yardbarker, is originally posted on Athlon Sports,
Hmm.
and it does a good job capturing that immediate kind of raw fan reaction.
Right.
So our mission really is to figure out why this specific omission hit such a nerve, you
Yeah.
know? What does it say about how fans see player growth and maybe even the award criteria itself?
It's a good question. So let's set the scene. Sunday, April 20th, 2025, playoffs are happening. Then boom, the league puts out the list.
Yeah, the whole slate. MVP, defensive player, most improved, rookie, six-man, clutch player, coach of the year. All the big ones.
The usual suspects. And like you said, some categories you could have probably guessed the finalists weeks ago.
Totally. The article mentions the MVP race. Shai, Jokic, Giannis. No big shocks there, right?
Nope. Pretty much standard. But then you get to most improved player, and that's where let's say, the discussion really ignited online.
Okay, so who were the finalists the league announced for the Kia MIP award?
The three were Cade Cunningham from the Pistons, Dyson Daniels from the Hawks, and Ivica Zubac from the Clippers.
Right. All talented players, obviously had good seasons in their own right.
No doubt. Each has their own story, their own improvements. But man, the instant reaction online wasn't really about them.
It was about who wasn't there. Austin Reaves?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The article highlights some fan comments directly, and people weren't holding back.
Oh, yeah. Give us a sample.
Well, you had things like, Reaves not being here is just such a joke. Pretty blunt.
Right.
Then the classic hashtag, hashtag rigged.
Of course. Always a class.
Someone else just put, where's Austin? Like genuine confusion or outrage.
Wow. So a real sense of disbelief among some fans.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, looking at the comments the article pulled, is why people were upset. It wasn't just random.
Right.
Like, one comment directly compared Reaves and Cade Cunningham. It said, Reaves and Harrow should have been here instead of Cade, who is a #1 pick.
Ah, okay. So bringing up the draft status. That's interesting.
Yeah, it gets into that whole thing, How much does draft pedigree factor into our perception of improvement? Is a jump from a top pick seen the same as a jump from, well, someone undrafted?
That's a really good point. It complicates how you define improved.
And another comment the article grabbed really hit on Reeves' specific journey and his numbers.
What did that one say?
Something like, first overall pick is nominated, but undrafted player averaging 20 next to Luka, and Braun is apparently unworthy somehow.
Okay, so they're highlighting the undrafted part again,
Yeah.
and his scoring average next to superstars.
Exactly. And they specifically mentioned his average 20.2 points per game this season. So the feeling seems to be, look at what this guy did, coming from nowhere, playing a big role.
Yeah, you can see why that narrative resonates. Let's maybe provide some context on Reaves. He wasn't drafted, right, back in 2021.
Correct. Undrafted, had to basically fight his way onto the Lakers roster and earn his minutes. He wasn't handed a key role initially.
And the article points out his statistical jump this season. The scoring you mentioned went from 15.9 points last season.
Up to 20.2 this season. That's a significant jump, over 4 points per game.
That's a solid leap, especially for someone carving out their role.
And it wasn't just scoring, was it?
No, exactly. The article makes sure to note he hit career highs in other areas, too. 4.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 1.1 steals per game.
So across the board, improvement. Not just a scorer, but developing his whole game.
Right. It paints a picture of a more complete player stepping up.
And you have to consider the context, which the article touches on. He wasn't just putting up numbers on a bad team.
Good point.
He established himself as like a genuinely reliable third option for the Lakers. Alongside LeBron James and Luka Doncic, that's a high-pressure situation.
Absolutely. Playing meaningful minutes, contributing consistently next to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually something voters notice, or at least fans expect them to notice.
Mm-hmm. Which leads back to the article's kind of conclusion on the fan reaction. It basically says, look, it's understandable why fans felt Reaves was snubbed.
Right. It says he certainly had the credentials to be selected as a finalist.
Yeah. So it's acknowledging that the fan outcry isn't just, Lakers bias or something. There's a legitimate case based on his season.
He validates the debate, basically.
Exactly. And then, interestingly, the piece kind of pivots at the very end.
This
It just reminds us that, hey, while this award stuff is happening, Reeves himself is focused on the playoffs. The Lakers had just lost game one of their 2025 opener when this came out.
right. So bringing it back to the present, the team goals over individual accolades.
Yeah, a little reality check amidst the award season buzz.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the main takeaway seems pretty clear. The most improved player finalists announcement really stirred the pot this year.
For sure.
And Austin Reaves being left off that list is clearly the main reason why. It just shows how much fans value his story, his development, and his impact, especially on a team like the Lakers.
It absolutely does. And it really leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on, doesn't it?
Which is?
What really defines most improved? Is it just the biggest statistical leap no matter where you started, like points per game increase?
Or is it about taking on more responsibility, a bigger role, and succeeding in it?
Or maybe it's about exceeding expectations, especially for someone like Reeves who came in undrafted versus a high lottery pick. Does that narrative carry extra weight?
That's the core of the debate, I think.
It is. And this situation with Reeves and the really strong fan reaction, it kind of throws all those different ways of looking at player development into sharp relief. It makes you think about what you value most when you see a player get better.